All right, so what we're gonna do today is go through a kind of full body mobility routine that kind of hits the major areas that have to do with the golf swing and the areas that we kind of want to move, that we want to keep healthy. So we're gonna start up towards the neck, work to the shoulder, work to the spine, work to the hips, and then work through the ankle. Then we're gonna have a little bit more specificity in working on getting a little bit of range in the hip. So we're gonna start out with the neck. So with the neck, you can either start from the knees, we can either go butt back on the heels, or we can have the feet just flat. So whichever kind of area that you feel like you have, feel comfortable with, just do that one. So we'll start with the neck. So we want to feel like everything is staying still minus the part of the body that we're wanting to move. So if I make two fists, I'm going to go chin down towards the chest, keeping the mouth shut and making a big circle. And we're going to go around twice each way. And when I'm doing this, I want to just think that I'm trying to make as big of circle with my chin as I can when I'm going through this. So we got two. And then we'll go the other way for the other two. So to the collarbone, to the chin, to the other collarbone, to the side, up toward the ceiling, right side collarbone, and down. So that's two on the neck. From there, we're going to go to shoulder. So shoulder, once again, you can kind of find the position that you want to be in, whether it's butt back, off the heels, whichever one you find that you like the most. So I kind of like this one because it gives me a little bit of foot mobility as well, with the toes kind of bending back. So from here, I'm going to keep my opposite arm hands on the ribs, so I feel like I don't move at all from the spine, and I'm just getting motion from my shoulder joint. So keeping the ribs down, I'm going to reach forward as far as I can. I'm going to reach up, and as soon as I can't go back anymore, I'm going to imagine like almost like I'm wringing out a towel with my kind of upper arm, and go back, fighting against rotating the chest, continuing to go slow, and then reverse that. So my palm's going to face you. I go back. When I can't go back anymore, I'm going to unwind the upper arm, back up towards the ceiling, and then going slow on the way down. And I'll hit that one more time. So reach forward, reach up, can't go back anymore, rotate the upper arm, reaching back, keeping the chest forward, and then reverse, back, open. So I'm just trying to make as big of circles as I can with this middle finger, and then going slow on the way down. So I'm going to go to the other side. So I'm going to change the position of my body for this one. So we can do this, like I said, kneeling, or we can do this one from all fours. So from here, I'm going to reach out and forward, reaching up towards the ceiling. So this one's going to be a little bit harder in specific areas, especially this. So as I go down slow, and then reverse it, staying solid in all the areas around the shoulder, reaching up and reaching back down. So you can choose this one or the opposite one, whichever one you kind of prefer. So it's going to be a little bit different because gravity is going to be hitting the movement a little different on each one. Back and up and back down. So that's the shoulders. Now from there, we're going to go to spine. So we're going to do some stuff that's going to go through flexion extension, but also get a little bit of rotation in there as well. So we're going to start out with rotation. Well, it's kind of a little bit of everything. So it is flexion, it's rotation, extension, side bending, a little bit of everything. So you're going to cross the arms. And we're going to think about, like, if you had a bird's eye view of yourself, your shoulders and head, it would look like you're trying to make a circle. So I'm going to go side bend, down, open up so this shoulder goes away from the camera and it comes up. I go in through extension, back to side bend, back forward, down towards the floor. I'm gonna go one more, so back to side bend. And you'll kind of notice different areas or different movements that you feel a little bit stiffer section. So for me, I know that definitely side bending, when I go to the right, I feel a little bit more restricted than going left. We're going to go the opposite way. Side bend, down towards the floor, away from the camera. Up. Back to the other side bend, and there for two. So from there, we're going to go to this cat camel position and do some flexion extension. Then we're going to try to move segment from segment of the spine. Instead of moving in a one chunk, we'll kind of get in a little bit more specific. So we'll just start by just rounding everything and arching everything about 5 times. So we go breath in. Now from there, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to unarch the lower back. So I'm just trying to move from kind of the pelvis, low back, while I'm still trying to look up. And then from there, it's going to work its way up towards the middle of the back, and upper back, and then tuck, and then I'm going to try to do the opposite. So I'm going to go here, work our way towards the middle back, and then look up at the ceiling. So starting at lower vertebrae, mid vertebrae, upper, and then neck, and then going in reverse. So I can either start from the neck or start from the hip. So I'm just going to start from the hip again. And belly button goes down towards the floor. Then sternum down towards the floor. And then looking up. So you'll do that 2 times. Now from there, we're going to go to hips. So hips, starting on all fours. I just try to feel like almost like my calf is trying to be glued to my hamstring. So keeping everything solid, I'm going to sniff some air in. I'm going to bring the heel up towards the ceiling, out towards the camera, almost like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. Coming back forward, and then reversing, going out, back up, slow on the way down, reverse, up, out, and down. So that's one. Go to the other side. Like I said before, just kind of notice where you feel like you might have either lack of range of motion, or you feel like you don't have a lot of control of that range of motion. Reverse it, go up towards armpit, back out towards dog peeing on fire hydrant, then heel back up to ceiling, slow on the way back down, reverse it for one more. So I'm not moving at all from my spine, especially my low back. And as much as I can, I'm just trying to move from that hip, neck, and then slow. Now, for our last one, we're gonna go to ankle circles. So for this one, I'm just gonna kind of hook my arm underneath. So I'm not trying to move it all from my shin, and it's just coming from my ankle. So I'm gonna think about kind of trying to draw a circle with my toe, slowly up across the shin while the shin's trying to not move, back down, and then from there I'm going to reverse, back up, off to the side, point down, 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 across, back up, and relax. Go other side, hook underneath, have this arm underneath the hand, this finger is kind of on the shin, so I'll point down, in, up, off to the side, back down, to the side, back up. And like I said before, just kind of pay attention to certain areas that you just feel like you just don't have control of. Well, you'll feel like your body just wants to kind of skip over. And those will be kind of the areas that your just body or your ankle or whatever joint doesn't have great control over. I'm going to reverse it, out, up, just making that big circle with that ankle. One more time, and good. So now we got those joints, we're gonna go to a little bit of hip mobility. So what we're gonna start with is in this 90-90 position. So if I turn to the side, so we have 90 degrees, we have 90 degrees, and we're gonna work on kind of external rotation of your front lead hip. So in this position, I'm going to show you actually from here. So, excuse me. So the big thing that you're going to want to do is as you're doing this range of motion, as I'm getting more range of motion, if you look at my waistband, this waistband isn't going to be going down towards the floor to stretch it. So that would be like more my back. And then if my waistband were to go up and kind of forward, that'd be more my glutes, my hip, those deep hip rotators that we want to stretch. So we're going to start out kind of getting your chest kind of towards over the top of your kneecap. Okay, so about here. And then from there, I'm just going to lean forward. Okay. Now, I'm going to imagine almost like there's a scale right underneath my knee, my shin, my foot. And while maintaining this angle, so I'm not going to push out of the stretch, I'm going to slowly push into the floor through the knee, shin, and foot at 25%, 50%, 75%. And then now I'm at 100, trying to push that ground down, down, and I'm going to hold that for about 10 seconds. Then after this 10 seconds is up, I'm going to try to pull, I'm going to try to decrease this angle by bringing that waistband kind of up towards the ceiling to get more of a stretch. So I'm going to do the opposite. So now I feel like almost like I'm trying to pull my knee and my shin off the floor, and that's pulling me more into a stretch. And I'm pulling into that stretch, and I'm pulling into that stretch, and I'm pulling into that stretch. 10 more seconds. So I'm going 20 seconds of this one. So I should feel kind of like the inner thigh working to kind of get a stretch on the outer hip. 3, 2, and 1. So I relax, So I don't back out of the stretch at all. I just breathe into that new range of motion. So I'm just going to go 10 breaths. Okay, I'm going to go a couple more breaths, and then I'm going to ramp it up one more time. Then I'm going to switch hips. Okay, now from here, again, I'm going to push into the floor, 25%, 50%, 75%, 100, and I'm going to hold that for about 10 seconds. So trying to push from my knee, my shin, my foot into the floor, but I'm not pushing out of the stretch. 3, 2, and reverse it. So I'm trying to pull that knee off the floor. I'm trying to pull that shin off the floor, and that's increasing the stretch in this left hip, kind of that glute area. At 100%. Hold that for about 5-ish more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then breathe. I'm going to go for 10 breaths. So about 8 more breaths. So I'm getting increased range of motion of that hip, and then with those different isometrics, I'm getting strength on both ends. So I'm building strength at end ranges to tell my brain that I not only want to keep that range, but I want to be strong at those end ranges. Let's go a couple more breaths. And then back out. All right, then we're going to go to the right side. You don't always have to go as well just directly over the kneecap. Some people might feel more of a stretch, going more over, shin, more going away. So it's kind of whatever you feel like you get the most out of it. So from this position, okay, I'm tall. I'm not kind of getting any bend from the spine, and I'm just going to get in that hip to start. Whereas I feel like that's the range of motion, I'm going to start by pushing into the floor. 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100. I'm going to hold that for 10 seconds, pushing into the floor, pushing into the floor. Should feel like the glute working to push into the floor. 3, 2, and now I'm going to reverse it. So I'm trying to pull my chest down towards the floor, while keeping that spine nice and flat. Holding about 10 more seconds. Closing that distance. 5 more seconds. And relax, okay? So I'm breathing this new range of motion that I just pulled myself into for about 10 breaths. Just inhale, long exhale, and with each exhale, you kind of feel like you're doesn't feel as intense of a stretch. A couple more breaths, so we're going to go one more round. All right, then we're going to push in the floor again, 25% to 50%, 75, and we're at 100. We're going to hold that for 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and close that distance for 20 seconds. Ten seconds. And relax. Just breathe, chest up. You can, if you want, kind of go down on the forearm. Get a little bend from the spine on this one, that's okay. About 5 more breaths. So you're just spending some time doing a little bit more mobility work than your traditional mobility drills. So this one's going to make a little bit more difference, and it's going to make it more likely to be able to, the range of motion that you get, to make that stick. And then we back out. Okay, so we've got external rotation. Now from here, we're going to go through internal rotation. So what we're going to do, you can do the internal rotation from that 90-90 position, but I feel like for a lot of people, it's just, they don't have that range of motion, and they start getting stretches in areas that they probably shouldn't be getting it, but it isn't for everybody. So we're going to start. So first we'll kind of test internal rotation. So if I test internal rotation on my right side, and I go out, I feel like, you know, I got maybe, not a lot, but it's like 10-ish degrees, something like that. So what I'm going to do is, if this is 0, and let's say that's like 10, I'm going to move out just a little bit more than 10 degrees. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this opposite leg, I'm going to place it over, and I should just feel like I get a little stretch on the outside part of my hip. So from here, I'm going to feel like my knee's trying to push to my right, but it's going to be blocked by my leg. So as I'm here, I'm going to push into that leg or that foot at 25, working its way up to 50, to 75, and I'm at 100, and I want to hold that for 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and I'm gonna lift, and then I'm gonna try to actively pull this right knee down without this right butt cheek coming off the floor. So I'm trying to staple that right hip down for 20 seconds. I'm gonna pull that knee in, down towards the floor, getting a little bit more of a stretch on the outside part of the hip, and definitely feeling the inner thighs working. I'm going to hold that for about 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and put that leg back on. Then I'm just going to go with that 10-ish breaths. Inhale, long exhale. And those 10-ish breaths are going to try to equal, you know, around, like, it could be longer for everybody, but, you know, 60-ish seconds, maybe a little bit more. Let's go about 3 more breaths. All right, now from there I'm going to start pushing against that leg again. 25, 50, 75. I'm at 100 for 10 seconds. Three, 2, and 1, and pull that knee back down for 20. And I feel like you can either have your leg up For some people, I'll just drop it down to the side. I can kind of readjust if I feel like my right butt cheek's kind of coming off the floor. So I'm just trying to pull that knee down. It's like I'm trying to pull that knee down and almost like trying to push this right or this left knee up towards the ceiling. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Foot over. Then I'll go for 10 breaths again. So obviously internal rotation, super important for getting into each hip. Backswing, downswing, if you're not able to get into each hip, that's going to kind of lead to you standing up at impact and losing a little bit of distance and losing club head speed. So definitely super important for golfers. So you can use breaths, or if you want, you can just set the timer to about 60-ish seconds. If you have a little bit more time, 90 seconds would be good. So I'm going to do it for about 3 more breaths, then I'll retest and see if it got a little better. So if you're going to do all this stuff and it doesn't get better, not a huge point to it. 1 more breath. And relax. Okay, so I'll retest that internal rotation. So I had about maybe 10-ish. If I check now, I mean, that's pretty significantly better, so which is good. So now from here, I'm going to go to left side. So if I were to check left, I have more on the left. So I'll go out, a little bit, tad bit more, bring that leg over, get to my end range without this left hip coming up. Start pushing into that kind of ankle foot. Up to 50%, 75%, 100%, and just kind of thinking like I'm just trying to push this knee left. Okay, and that should fire up glute, but it's not going anywhere. So a couple more seconds, 3, 2, and 1. I take that foot off. Should like that foot down on the ground. I'm trying to push the knee down as I'm thinking at the same time I'm trying to push the knee, this right knee up towards the ceiling. About 5 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Back on. Breathe in that position for 10 breaths. Or that's 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever you want. So when you're doing some of the contract, relax stuff, contracting one side is going to be able to relax the other side. Okay, we'll go for about 2 more breaths, then we'll start another cycle. All right, so we're going to push that knee, trying to push it to the left, 25%, and we're slowly building up that tension. 50, 75, 100 for another 10 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift and pull. Put this leg down, so I'm pulling the knee down, but at the same time, I feel like I'm almost like pushing the knee up. Holding that for 20 seconds. If you need to readjust, that's fine. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Put that leg over the top. We're just going to finish up. 10 breaths, 60 seconds. We'll recheck, see if it got better. If it got better, cool. If not, either sometimes changing the position to end up getting that internal rotation. A couple more breaths. All right, then I'll just recheck, see if it got better. Rotate out, definitely better. So definitely improved on both sides. This means those are two good drills for me to do in order to increase hip internal rotation. So hope you liked it. Take care.